Thanks for joining us on the John Mendola Show. We are driven by McCarthy Tire and Automotive Centers. Let's talk Dunmore Bucks football. Joining us is Tim Drews. He's got a brother, Danny, who's pretty darn good, the twins from Dunmore. And Tim, welcome into the show. Tell us about you and your brother. You're pretty similar. I'm sure you're different in your ways, but right now both of you are getting some looks at the collegiate level, and that's exciting, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Especially, we're trying to go to the same school, but he's very, very smart, and it's hard to keep up with him.
Well, very, very smart is, a matter of fact. I'm sure with your parents, both of you at times, I'm sure, are smart, and sometimes you're not, because I get the same thing with my own kids. But you tell us about some of the schools that he's getting looks, and tell us about some of the schools that you're getting looks, and hopefully you guys can find a mix and find one together.
He's getting looks by schools like Penn and Cornell and Temple.
And then how about for you, some of the schools?
Stony Brook, Temple, and Wagner, Bryant, where Mike Perry went, Rhode Island, Maine, just to name a few.
Tim, tell us about the difference in size, because everybody thinks twins are exactly the same. Tell us about the height difference and if there's a weight difference between you and Danny.
Me and Danny weigh about the same, and I'm 2 inches taller than him, and he's about an inch wider than me, which fits him perfectly for playing center.
Tim Drews, Danny Drews, two guys are going to be seniors for the Dunmore Bucks. What's it like, the tradition there at Dunmore for you guys? And, of course, your brother Tommy went through Dunmore, really had a fine career there, went up to the University of Buffalo. Talk about what it's like to be a Buck.
Oh, it's absolutely amazing. No other school in the area has what we have. We have one of the best coaches in the state, if not the country. Growing up as like a water boy, watching my brother's team take on Lakeland against Joe Tuggy and those guys, some of the best times of my life. Well,
it's a lot of fun growing up, being on the sideline at Dunmore, being in the stands, being around the stadium, all different kinds of food, and footballs are thrown in the stand, and the cheerleaders. There's just so much tradition. How about Coach Mills? Because he's a young coach, and he really tries to do everything he could for the offense and defensive linemen. Tell us about your relationship with Coach Mills.
I say this all the time. Coach Mills is one of the best coaches in the state. He is a great guy, and there's no other way to explain that. He's truly a good guy.
And another guy who has experience with the University of Buffalo as well. So, you get a Drews there, you get University of Buffalo. When you guys are getting looked at on the recruiting trail, what are you hearing from some of the recruiters and what you're talking to or getting the letters? What are they looking for, do you think, from the Drews brothers?
I think they like our size, our sports intelligence, and our knowledge of the game. I think that's one of the keys. We have a lot of experience on the field. That helped us.
Tim, when you talk about what you need to work on, what did you come in or your brother Danny come in and say, okay, this is something we got to work on, whether it's our feet, our strength, our speed? What was a couple things you focused on and said in the offseason, we got to work awfully hard at this?
Flexibility. That was the biggest thing. And I also had to work on my hands, because my hands aren't as good to be a good pass rusher. And my brother Tommy he was our trainer in the offseason, and he really did a great job. One of the best. He couldn't have done a better job.
Tim, as humble as you are, and your brother Danny, how about the things you think you have going for you? You mentioned that you guys are football sense, and, of course, you do a good job in the classroom, both of you, and you had to let it out that he does a little better job than you. But how about some things on the field that you feel that, hey, these are things other than your size? What are some things that you feel like you're doing well right now, or maybe your brother or Coach Mills or Coach Henzes keeps, saying, hey, guys, you're doing a great job at this?
Well, I think between me and Danny, we don't even have to talk to each other anymore, because we just know what we're thinking. Like, we don't even have to call what play they're going to run on defense or what we're doing on offense, because we both know.
That's always important. Is that something that you think will attract the possibility of that college, if there is one that says, hey, we want to see these guys play at the same school and be together? What would it be like to be without your brother Danny and not play at the same school? I'm sure that'd be pretty difficult for you, but it could happen next year.
Yeah, I've never been, in 17 years of my life, I've never been apart with him for more than 2 days. He's a giant part of my life.
How about all the good that's going on with you and your brother Danny? I'm sure you guys have your disagreements like anybody else, but I'm sure there's a whole lot of positives.
Yeah, we helped out 5K for autism a couple weeks ago, and next week we're going to go help out St. Joe's, and we like to do those things together. We both like to give back.
Well, Tim, tell us about your family background and giving back and what you guys like to do to help people out in the community, because everybody would love to have that well-rounded young man or young lady in their house as a kid, and we're all striving for a little bit more. Tell us about the values that that's in your family that says, hey, let's make sure we're good to this cause and do this for these people and make sure that we're good people. And that's part of the whole theme there at Dunmore with Coach Henzes as well.
Coach Henzes wants us to be well-rounded young men. He doesn't care so much about football. He wants us to go out and become great members of our community. I think that's the most important thing at Dunmore.
It's always special. It's always great to hear. And, of course, one of the best coaches ever in the state of Pennsylvania. And Timmy Drew said, hey, he's one of the best coaches in the country, period. He's still going at Dunmore and still loves what he does. How about the passion and some of the messages that Coach Henzes gives you guys? It's the stuff that you think you soak up more, and it's hard to appreciate when you're in high school. It's the stuff you soak up more that, as you say, is not necessarily on the field, but off the field stuff that impacts you more as a person right now, Tim?
Yeah. Even on the field, when I look over the sideline and I see Coach Henzes get in the ref's ear, that fires me up. I don't know about anyone else. That gets me going. That makes me play so much harder when he's excited and passionate still about the game at his age.
Tim Drew's talking about playing football at Dunmore for the Bucks, and of course what he wants to do at the next step. He's 6'4", 280 pounds. His brother Danny, 6'2", 280 pounds. Both good, solid student athletes. They're hoping to go to college together. Well, should be an exciting year. Tim, tell us about your team this year coming back and what you're excited about this year for the Bucks.
Well, I'm excited to play with my friends, Danny and Sal Marchese. He's been my best friend since first grade. We've always been together. We've done everything together. We got moved up to varsity as freshmen together. We really haven't been apart.
Well, should be exciting times there at Dunmore this year with you guys. We wish you well. Tim and Danny Drews are looking to head to school together, possibly, or they may go apart. We'll see what happens in the recruiting process. Nonetheless, we wish you guys a lot of success on the football field, and give our best to your brother Tommy.
Thank you, John. You too.
Tim Drews here on the John Mendola Show. Dunmore Bucks football, driven by McCarthy Tire and Automotive Centers.